this clip by itself.
Yeah.
Okay?
I agree.
Okay.
I agree.
What up, everybody? This is Jason Lee from Hollywood Unlocked Uncensored, and we have... Oh, introduce yourself.
We've got Melissa Ford, a.k.a. the Curve Queen.
And you got Giovanni Watson, a.k.a. the...
And we have a bone of... Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. I stepped all over you.
Don't cut off my
I'm
introduction.
sorry, but I'm excited about
Me
who
too,
we actually
too.
have
Go
in
ahead.
the studio.
Let's proceed.
We have a bona fide superstar, Meagan Good, in the studio. No, seriously, listen, Lisa, we need to get like the applause thing going on because every man was tripping over himself to make sure that Meagan was comfortable. Like, is your seat raised? Do you want some alcohol? What do you want? What do you want?
Can I just say that I put it out there that that we were interviewing Meagan Good. First of all, shout out to God, because I don't know how that happened. But no, I mean, I put it on my Facebook and Twitter, and like people were just going crazy. Everybody loves Meagan.
Everybody really does.
We love Meagan. That's not no Hollywood. That's not no Hollywood shit either.
We gotta personally know Megan.
It's not.
Really do.
I was just out with Laz a couple of nights ago. We went to have sushi.
Laz for our
studio audience, for our audience, Laz Alonso, who has been your co-star in so many different Jumping the Broom, Stomp the Yard, Deception.
Yeah, and Counting.
Exactly. Exactly. You guys seem to work really, really, really well together. And I want to, kind of save what he said about you. It was very, very favorable. He holds you in an extremely high regard. So we'll get back to that a little bit later.
Aww.
Yeah, but I just wanted to kind of, start with
I remember watching him on BT Teen Summit. Remember that?
Laz has come a very long way, as has Megan.
It's so crazy because I remember actually when he was doing the black carpet, I think you guys were both doing it at the same time, and he was telling me, he's like, yeah, I really want to act, and he was interviewing me for Biker Boys.
Yeah.
So that's when I was 21.
Yeah.
So anyway, he was like, yeah, I really want to act, and I was like, yeah, man, just keep at it, stay focused, and you have the passion, you have the drive, and the next thing you know, it was like, Stomp the Yard was, 4 or 5 years later.
Yeah, and you know what? You have that appeal. You had that same appeal that the Mary-Kate, Ashley, the Olsen twins had, where everybody was waiting for you to come of age from like Eve's Bayou. Everyone was like, I know she's
I was just about to say my favorite Meagan Good movie. I've never said this. People really think because I know all these people that I'm on their line every day talking to them about everything. I just don't because I'm a fan of the people that we talk to. I'm a fan of a lot of my friends, but Eve's Bayou. Probably one of my favorite movies ever.
It's got such a stellar cast.
Lynn Whitfield. Lynn Whitfield.
She's my mom
Megan.
in my head. Like at least my auntie. She's so
That was my
dope.
favorite movie.
Yeah.
You know what? It's safe to say, honestly, even though you're a young black woman, you're like a living legend. Like you're like a living legend. Like you really are. Your resume is so crazy. A lot of people know she was in Friday. Like a lot of people don't know that. Melissa didn't
Megan,
know
I
that.
promise you, I just found that out today.
Really?
She was like, she wasn't in Friday. Yes, she was.
I was like,
Hold on. What did you do on Friday?
I was the little girl at the ice cream truck with Big Worm and Chris Tucker, who was like, man, hurry up. And then he was like, shut up, and I was like, man, I hate him.
I did not know
with the little hat backwards.
I remember that like it was yesterday. I remember Michael Clark Duncan, rest in peace, he was Tiny Lester's stand-in on it.
Really?
And I used to make the tuna sandwiches every day because after Gary Gray was 25 years old, it was his first film. It was like the whole make or break type situation.
And he didn't understand craft services.
And he didn't understand craft services. So we were there for like 2 weeks, basically trying to figure out when we're actually going to shoot. And I remember when we finally got to my scene, I was so excited, so nervous that I forgot my lines.
Was that your first project?
5 times. That was my first speaking role in a movie.
Really?
Before that, I had done like Barbie commercials and Pringles and so much,
And you weren't nervous? Were you nervous?
I was nervous because it was my first time speaking, in a movie. Like, I was girl number 2.
Yeah.
But like, when they say start from the bottom, like I started from the bottom. Like extra work on Dee Hauser and Amen and stuff like that. And then, trying to be next to the little girl in the scene and be like, on camera next to her in the scene. My mom's like, just be good, and be really outgoing. And so from that to like having little roles where I'm on camera to like having.
Well, no, you went from being the girl at the ice cream truck to snorting cocaine with Melissa Ford.
Yes. So I was telling
like the transition here, people.
So I was telling the boys that because I was looking over the biography, which I pretty much know already, and I was just like, she's been in so much stuff with Laz, but come to find out, her and I have been in 2 films together. One was a documentary, Good Hair.
Right.
What was your experience?
No, we were also in Think Like a Man together and Video Girl.
Oh,
3.
3.
How do you don't remember? Okay, for everybody, for all the struggling actors out there, one day you will get to a point where you forget that you've been working.
She's absolutely.
I didn't see you and think like, man, this is new to me too.
Okay.
No, I really want to know.
If she thought like a man, she wouldn't be having cobwebs.
Exactly. There wouldn't be cobwebs.
But anyway,
we'll get to that. But yes, it's true. Meagan and I have been in now 1 documentary, 2 movies together. Yeah. And the movie what Jason's talking about was Video Girl, where I play this. My name's Lala, I believe. Lala. And Lala was a party girl. And she
sounds about right.
And she, usually had cocaine on her. It's just like, let's get the party started. Hey, right. And tell them what we were snorting for real.
We were snorting
because we were like totally method.
Powdered sugar.
Really?
Powdered sugar. We did Coffee Mate and powdered sugar.
Yes. Wait a minute. As in really snorting it?
Yeah, we had to for the scene.
Did it burn?
No, actually, we were kind of low-key hyper. We were like in the car giggling.
Off the powdered sugar, we were hyper as hell. When we got to the Coffee Mate, when we were at the warehouse, I had a full-blown allergic reaction.
Oh, right.
Full-blown.
Right.
Speaking of allergic reaction, last week we interviewed Jackie Christie from the Basketball Wives, and Melissa had a dog encounter outside where it licked her face, so she had all these bumps all over her mouth.
He was really cute,
bad. So we called it puppy bumps.
He was a cute puppy, and I couldn't help myself.
We were thinking Valtrex could sponsor the show, but this week they're gone, so.
Yeah, they were gone.
So I prayed a lot before this interview because I said, God, work through me. Meagan is somebody who I swear every single time I've interacted with her, always positive. Like for real, no diva shit, no rude, no gossiping, no. Sometimes I kind of want to pull it out of her, but I'm trying to stay in my lane, and she's closer to the Lord right now.
Megan's the definition of composure, and I can say that because I always feel like I am, and then she trumps me, for lack of a better phrase.
So for all our other guests, Meagan, that are watching this show saying, damn, they're being so nice to her, we actually like her. Not that we don't like any of you. Okay, so let me ask you. We were just talking a minute ago about Amber Rose. Mm-hmm. You know Amber Rose?
Yeah.
You've heard of it?
Of course.
Okay. So she has this new talk show. I'm struggling because I'm not a fan of it. I'm not a fan of the slut-shaming, slut walk. I don't get it. And I feel like in Hollywood, specifically black women too, get a hard... That you guys have it hard where I feel like people label you, and it's so easy to throw a label on a black woman. Mm-hmm. So she has this slut walk, she has this talk show where she talked about, her ex-husband putting babies on her face recently or something. Crazy. Mm-hmm. Then I see you go and marry, wait, and we're going to talk about the wait in a minute, wait to have sex before you get married, wait until you get married before you have sex to your husband, and get criticized for clothes that you wear. Mm-hmm. What do you think about that? What is that?
And wait, sorry, just let me cut in, just because this makes a lot of sense right now. I just want to preface this with saying what Laz originally had said about you when we were having sushi together. He was like, Meagan cannot win for losing at all. No matter what she does, whatever, side of the fence she falls on, she's heavily criticized, for it. But she always handles it with the utmost dignity, and it falls in line with exactly what Jason's saying.
So what is that? What is that?
Sorry.
I don't know what that is. I think this generation, especially, and the young people who are growing up. When I say young, I mean 20, 30-year-olds who I think a lot of what's being pushed down our throat or being kind of filtered out to us is stuff that doesn't really make us, I feel like, think of ourselves positively and know what we're capable of, and really just like who we are as human beings, especially as women. Mm-hmm. And I think we're a little misguided, a little delusional, and I think we're kind of missing the point of how much we should value ourselves. So I think in terms of myself, for me, the way that I grew up throughout my 20s, I dated like any other woman would. But even in that sense, just being in the public eye, I was criticized for whoever I dated or whoever they thought I dated or whatever they thought I was doing, or if they read something in the blogs that would be a half story or just completely false, I would always kind of
get labeled as something.
Oh, for sure. And so my 20s actually prepared me for my 30s, because had I not experienced everything I experienced in my 20s and dealing with all of the kind of like, things that people would say, and there'd be like 1,000 nice things, and there'd be 10 really nasty things.
And those 10 things
just
kill
you, and it just breaks your heart,
yeah.
and it makes you feel like, wow, is that what everybody thinks? And then, through my 20s, I struggled with having a chip on my shoulder, being angry, feeling misunderstood, feeling judged, feeling like people couldn't see my heart. And so a lot of the ways that I carried myself in my 20s was indicative of that feeling, you know? But then when I got into my 30s and I realized, wow, everything that I'm doing is not really helping. It's actually making it worse. And so I made a decision to just do something completely different. And when I did that, everything in my life started changing. I just had more self-control, had more self-respect. I already was overconfident and respected myself, but I found respect that I didn't even know that I needed.
Yeah, because you were Meagan Good that every man wanted to be with. I'm just saying. You know.
There's a lot of
every man except for me.
There's a lot of gay men that said I would go straight for a moment just to have that moment with Meagan Good. Tons of them.
I've learned not to drunk drive. I stay in my lane. But I will say,
I was the guy that always thought she was beautiful, but I wanted to work with her more than want her.
Yeah, well, all the people that I know don't have talent in acting, so they weren't thinking of acting. They were in love with Meagan Good, and you dated some interesting people. You dated 50 Cent, right?
I did.
So I heard recently that he has bad breath. Is that true?
I don't remember.
Oh, it's been so long.
To be honest, and just for clarity on that, that was over a decade ago.
Wow.
Really?
You know, when we dated, and it was for about a year, and I kept it under the radar intentionally.
She did.
Because at that time in my career, I had just come off of Biker Boys, I had just did the music video, and my career was going in a really great way, and what I didn't want was my connection to him to be the catalyst in any type of success that I had. I didn't want anything from him. I'm not the type of person, I've always made my own money, I've always taken care of myself, I've always taken care of my family. So for me, it was really about protecting myself, because if people couldn't see the relationship for what it was, they would label me a certain way. So I just kept it under the radar, and the fact that people found out 10 years later, I'm like, that was like 21.
But here's the thing, is that 50 is actually like a really great guy.
I saw him the other night.
He's the nicest guy ever. Great conversationalist, kind of, in touch with his emotions. Very in touch with his emotions. But just shut up.
People would be surprised.
Yeah.
People would be surprised at what a nice human being he is. You have to remember, it's someone that was raised by their grandmother. So by all accounts, even what you see in the public eye is not necessarily a true representation of that person's heart. And I wouldn't have been with somebody who was a negative person or a mean person or whatever it was. It was definitely a person that, when I knew him,
I think sometimes he lashes out on Instagram, so him and Gilbert kind of get thrown in the bucket of being crazy.
There's the persona, and then there's the person, and there's a clear, differentiation between the.
No, I just thought of a connection between you two again. I'm sitting here looking. First of all, Meagan looks young as hell.
Yeah.
You do.
So does she.
You look
let me get that founding youth.
But we talk about her all the time.
I was just rubbing cocoa butter on myself right before we started filming.
You know what's so crazy is that anytime we interview a man, you have massive amounts of cocoa butter on your breasts. There's a lot going on. Today, you're really.
I saw her put that shit on.
It was filmed. He filmed.
She could have made a whole.
But anyway, back to the connection between you and Meagan. I'm looking at Meagan. I'm thinking of Waist Deep.
Right.
I love that movie.
Thank you.
Remember, Games in the movie, right?
Yeah, Games in the movie.
He said you drive a Honda Accord. That was the only thing I was thinking. Even though you didn't drive a Honda Accord.
Yeah, but then he also said, picture me like, and I called him. I was like, damn, what picture Meagan like Meagan.
So
here's clarity on that. Me and Jamie never dated. Nothing has ever happened.
I was just going to ask you about that too.
And I really felt a way. I had to call him. I was like, what do you mean? He was like, no, I'm just saying, imagine that. I'm like, but in light of those pictures, which were totally misrepresentative of what actually happened, it was a jokey thing. I was surprised. I was actually in a relationship that I had just broken up with the guy, and we were trying to get back together when those pictures came out, and I was like, what?
So you're talking about Game song Wouldn't Get Far.
Yeah.
So here's the crazy thing about that song is nobody remembers anybody else mentioned except me. Like for real. It's like it's the bane of my existence. It's the bane of my existence. It's my cross to bear. And
she was mentioned in the same song?
She's mentioned
that. Good card.
We will get back to that.
Wait, and so what yours wasn't true and yours wasn't true.
Gabrielle Union was mentioned. He mentioned at least 30. He talks about Takara. He talks about Gloria Velez. He talks about Vita Guerrera. He talks about a plethora.
And so
of women who are in the industry.
So basically all of this wasn't true, but this song is, I guess it grew legs, right? People believed it.
It grew everything. An entire skeletal system, yes, and ran down the street, couldn't catch it.
Well, for the record, none of it was true. The game was just being creative.
Thank you.
You are so politically correct.
That's so dope, man.
Me, I'd be like, yo, ass is lying. Okay, so you've had your relationships and now you're married.
Yeah.
And your husband is a minister.
Yeah.
So you're a first lady.
Evidently.
How do you balance that? How do you balance, because sometimes I look at what you've gone through in dating Devon, who's one of the most amazing people. Meagan did, but Meagan participated in the Trayvon Martin campaign that I did back in 2012. But Devon was actually the one person I went to for guidance before. I don't know if you ever did.
No, you didn't tell me that.
I actually reached out to him at Sony, and I went to his office. I was nervous as hell because I didn't think he would say yeah. I went to his office and I just said, what should I do? Because I'm moved by this. And he said, what is your message? And at the time, I didn't know what my message was. I just wanted to help. And he said, figure out what your message is because these words are going to have power.
Yeah.
I'm like, damn, he's good. Then they hooked up. I'm like, oh, it's going down. So I watched the journey with you guys, and I see how sometimes you're attacked online or people have opinions. And I personally don't go to the church house because of that very reason. I can't deal with judgment. I can't, life is enough without all that. How do you manage all that?
I struggled with it. When we first got married and the whole stuff happened with the BET Awards and the blue dress,
The blue dress was beautiful, by the way, and you looked amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, I struggled with that because, for reference, I had no idea I was giving a gospel award. And even if I had known, I would have worn something sexy. It just wouldn't have been that particular dress. And I was totally oblivious, because I'm like, well, I love God, I love Jesus. God is in my heart. I knew who I am. I didn't think.
And you have a banging body, and you're pretty, and you're Meagan Good.
Yeah, thank you. But I didn't think much about it at all. So when it all happened, I was low-key devastated. I had never.
So you didn't even see that coming.
I didn't see it coming at all. Because it wasn't a second thought to me because that wasn't my intention.
Here's what I want people to really just kind of look at. When you look at you and Devon, you are a beautiful couple.
Yeah,
and not just beautiful, sexy. You're sexy, he's very sexy.
Thank you.
So
I agree.
exactly. So it's just like if you were given this packaging, I'm sorry, I'm all for, kind of.
I mean, here's the thing, is okay, let me get real spiritual for 2 seconds.
Okay.
I believe that, God has allowed every single part of who we are, everything from the way that we love to what we pursue, to what's in our heart, to our passion, whatever it is, how we communicate with people, as a part of how he's going to use us to do whatever we're supposed to do in the world. So the way I grew up doing, off Broadway with drag queens, and I've had a totally different experience growing up than maybe somebody in the church. So I'm extremely liberal.
You've been exposed to the world and what it really looks like.
But at the end of the day, it's like that is the world. A lot of people, they're the ones who aren't exposed. The truth is, this is the world, and we're all here to love each other. So the experiences that God has allowed me to have, and the mind frame that He's allowed me to have, and the way that I see the world, my perception, my attitude, the way I think everything is all a part of how He's created me for what He wants me to do. So He put me in this business. When I was 19, I asked Him, because I wasn't working a lot, I was seeing a lot of my friends getting jobs, and I was wondering why I wasn't. I asked Him, I'm like, God, what do you want me to do? Because if this is not what you want me to do, then I will give this up, even though it's what I really, really want, and do whatever you want me to do. And in that conversation with God is when God told me, this is what I want you to do, but you're not doing it for you. You're doing it for me. So everything that I do is a part of who I am, and I have to be authentic, and I have to be true. The women that relate to me are the women who are like me. I can't go out there dressing up, being holier than thou, and being something that I'm not. Ain't nobody relate to that. That's completely
inauthentic. And it wouldn't be as real to who you are.
Right. And here's the thing: is I'm called to a certain kind of woman who's been through the things that I've been through, who has been broken and has been put back together. I'm not here for the other girls, and that's okay. Somebody else is here for them. And
don't we all just want to give her a high five?
I really do. I'm sitting here amen, church, synagogue, and tabernacle. Seriously.
No, because what I love about it is that so many people are just so quick to judge people in general. You don't know any,
and especially celebrities.
Well, you don't know any individual person's journey. For me, doing Love and Hip Hop, that was my first time really going out and doing anything on camera. And I made some mistakes, of course. I reacted to situations differently than I probably would have if I would have been able to really think about it. And I feel like with the church, sometimes they are a little too judgmental. I feel like I heard there was this moment that went viral where you were on a panel and a woman stood up and said something about how you were dressed, and Devon had your back.
Totally.
How did that in that moment? How did you feel? Did you not know how to react, or?
I felt that because she started off with saying God sent me here, so I said, okay, I'm definitely open to hearing what she has to say. And then as she began to say that she had seen me on the cover of some magazine recently in the blue dress, and I thought, well, that can't be true because the blue dress was about 3 years ago now, so that wouldn't be a recent picture on the cover of some magazine that I don't know about. But okay, so I'm still listening, and then she, kind of finished it off. Well, you can't. You have to accept the Holy Spirit, as if implying that I hadn't. And I'm like, okay, which I absolutely have.
So you knew where she was going.
Yeah, and I just let her keep talking, and then she was just like, so you're gonna cover up, right? And for me, what hurt me is not necessarily what she said. It was that as a Christian, as someone who should embrace me and love me, and if she really felt that it was her job to,
counsel
hold me
you
accountable,
or
there was a way to do it in love, not attempt to humiliate me in front of an audience of people. And that's what hurt, because I was like, you're supposed to be Christian. And I'm not saying that you're not because of how you came at me. We all make mistakes and fall short. But God didn't tell you to do that, because God, He gives wisdom. He gives wisdom when He has people give things to other people, and that was not wisdom.
So would the younger Meagan Good have reacted that way?
Oh, the younger Meagan Good probably would have just cried, because I'm of two minds. I have a fiery personality. I can be a certain kind of way, but I've trained myself not to be that way because there's no benefit to it. I've been in situations, like I remember being like 19 years old and getting jumped because some girls recognized me from Cousin Skeeter. And it was like really just, they didn't get nothing, but I was just like, initially when I walked away, when I was being pulled away by security, I was like, God bless you, God bless you. It's all good, it's not even me. And then I went home and thought about it, and I got mad, and I spent the next 3 days looking for them. And I finally found.
Is Lamaya with you? Lamaya.
No, Lamaya's crazy now.
I love the Lord, but today I'm about to love keeping your ass.
Right. So, she wasn't with me at the time, but I found someone who knew them, and then I ended up running up on this other girl and threatening her in the bathroom, and I said, listen, 5 girls jumped on me. Why don't they come fight me one by one? So, the girls, basically, they were going to come up there, but then they didn't come. Their dudes ended up coming, who ended up getting in a fight with my dude at the time, and then it ended up becoming a massive fight because some of them happened to be Bloods, and some of them happened to be Crips. Next thing you know, someone's running up there with a shank, and somebody pulls out a gun, and it was a crazy situation. Luckily, nobody got hurt, but I remember thinking, like, this is all my fault because of my pride. Like, I brought all these people into it, and so many people could have gotten hurt. Somebody could have gotten killed because of my pride. So just stuff like that, when I was younger, it really molded my mind. I was like, it's not worth it.
So Devon, when that incident went down with the woman in the church or where you were speaking, Devon had your back. Totally. And he's publicly had your back. Yeah. How does that feel to have somebody in your corner who is fighting not for you, but fighting with you?
The best thing for me is someone who doesn't want to change me. Someone who thinks that I'm amazing just the way that I am. Someone who's willing to grow with me and is okay if I don't grow, that has been the biggest blessing, because for every relationship that I've been in, there was always a version of me that someone desired, when I would become this person, or when I would do this, or when I would act like this, and I just wasn't there, and I may never ever be there. That just may not be me. So I always felt like in every relationship, the love was to some degree conditional.
You guys really look like homies.
Yeah.
And in all honesty, as a woman, that is exactly what, we're looking for. Yeah. We're not just looking for somebody who's gonna, just lust for us and love us. We're looking for our bestie. We're looking for our friend who's going to like us. Yeah. And when we're not all that awesome, still be like, I still got you.
Yeah, y'all seem like y'all got a very solid foundation.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Like every video I see, every clip, right there.
Thank you.
Well, I have some questions I want to ask about that relationship when we get back. She can feel free to say I plead the fifth, but I'm going to ask, but we have to get this music real quick.
We'll be right back with Meagan Good.
Good so far?
Yeah. That's the first 50 ever.
She says every time we have an interview, Floyd talked about he talked about domestic violence, he talked about being abused, he talked about going to jail, he talked about his friend killing himself on camera. I mean, really open on everything.